By preventing even a vote on this bill, they prevented a raise for 28 million hardworking Americans.
They're fighting for the billionaires. We're fighting for people who are struggling to make a living.
President Obama and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid blasting Senate Republicans today after they, not surprisingly, rejected a bill that would boost the federal minimum wage in a vote of 54 to 42, almost entirely on party lines. A Republican, I think, or two went over to the Democratic side. The bill fell short of the 60 votes necessary to advance. Now, Democrats unanimously supported the bill that would have gradually raised the hourly minimum wage of where it stands now on the federal level of $7.25 an hour to $10.10 over the course of 30 months. Republicans say the move would have been too expensive for small business owners and would have cost jobs. Democrats say phooey. They say the boost, it would help stimulate the economy. And today, Democratic Senator Patty Murray of Washington State said the vote was also a letdown specifically for women.
Today, Republicans told 1 in 4 working women in America that $7.25 an hour, the price of about 2 gallons of gas, is enough for them to support themselves and their families.
Okay, you know the back and forth in this. So before we give the partisan yes or no, good or bad, let me just give you the hard data. Now, this comes from the Bureau of Labor here, so this is not being driven by either side. Almost 4 million hourly workers earn minimum wage or less. Think about that. Almost 4 million Americans fall in this category. 49% of those people, women who are 20 years of age and older, not the teenagers you always hear about. 59% have high school diploma or less, and about a quarter are teenagers between the ages of 16 and 19. I know many people think that bottom number of 25 is actually 75%, but it's reversed. Economists say a full-time employee who works for a year at $7.25 an hour would have to make a little more than 15 grand a year. And that's 40 hours a week full-time working at that rate. They also say the federal minimum wage has not kept up with the cost of living in about 40 years. So my thing, and we talked about this a little bit with our guest Jerry Springer last night, whose audience, both in the studio and at home, there's a chunk of them certainly that makes up that population, maybe not so much around the New York market here, but why aren't more people that are more directly impacted by that saying, what are you doing? I mean, you go from $7.25 to $10.10 an hour. In effect, it's a 50% raise. It's a little less, but in effect, that's what net it's going to make for somebody. And it's a huge impact from 15 grand to 20 grand a year. You tell somebody making 15 grand a year that they're going to get up to nearly 20, it's a material difference in their life. But why aren't more people more animated about this tonight? To me, it feels like it's a one-day news cycle story.
It's easy to answer that question. As Jerry Springer told you last night, and he's right about this, Americans, for the most part, with our politics, we do on the surface as it relates to issues. We really don't know the details. As a matter of fact, many elected officials don't even know the details.
Tom, I hear you, but this one isn't some tricky policy thing. This is, you get 15 grand a year or you get 20 grand a year. Nobody thinks either one of them is some palatial amount to live, let alone raise somebody on. So who can't get that? That's not tricky.
It's easy.
It's black and white.
It's not black and white. Because Republicans say, ooh, Obama's the bad guy. He's going to cost. They've been making this argument about the minimum wage when the minimum wage was about $4 an hour. Yeah. And they will continue to make the same exact
all right,
points.
Fair enough. But Andrew, we gave some numbers. Here's some more numbers. Every poll you look at, almost 2/3 of Americans believe that this is a good thing. This is a necessary thing. And the whole idea of minimum wages, it's got to keep up with the rate of inflation. $7 an hour today is different than what it could buy you back in 1993. So my point is, if it polls really well, people viscerally can understand it. It's not macroeconomics or microeconomics here. It's basic stuff. Why doesn't this thing play out more? We're in an election year, for crying out loud.
I think it's because Republicans have put together a very effective, though in my view, incorrect counter message to it, which is you want to go from $7.50 an hour to $10.10 an hour? That's great if you still have a job. And they keep hammering home the point, which again I believe is false, and I think a lot of studies have shown are false, that this is going to cost people jobs. And when you're making $7.50 an hour, you're scrambling all over the place just to try to make ends meet. You don't have a lot of time to investigate or invest in the politics or the issues. And B, losing your job becomes that much more painful. So when somebody tells you might not have a job tomorrow if we raise the minimum wage from $7.50 to $10.10, that goes to the forefront of your mind, and that impacts a lot of people in this debate.
But still, 2 in 3 or 3 in 4 Americans agree this is a necessary thing. It's a good thing. It's not going to hurt the economy. And the other thing, just basic math is, who do you think is going to spend the money if you give it to them? Do you think somebody making minimum wage and you raise them $10 an hour is going to be able to set up some IRA here, or set up their investment portfolio? They're going to spend it if it's going to go right back into the economy.
Richard, but they don't vote in the Senate. Money controls our political system. Money controls how many senators vote. It's that simple.
I know, I'm not naive, Dominic, but isn't it really offensive that
Yes.
we can't even get a basic
Yes.
up and down vote on the thing?
Yes, it is
I mean,
offensive.
if you have the
the
courage
American
to say,
people.
you can't even get this thing to have a floor vote? I mean, come on.
But this is the same debate that we were having
I
about background
know.
checks and we've had about issue after issue, especially with this Congress and under this president. The other thing is, 80% of people say they support it, that's fine, but 100% of people care a lot more about their own incomes and their own jobs than they do about anybody else's.
I think
And
if
that
Democrats had a little bit of a backbone, they'd find more people behind this than I think they're afraid
There
of.
is no end to the list of
Yeah,
issues where
if
if
they had a
Democrats
little
had
bit
more
of
of
a
a backbone,
backbone.
they would
Fair
be
enough.
successful.
Dom, Andrew, guys, thank you very much.
Thank
I'll see
you.
you guys at 6. You at home, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk about the story of the week, seemingly. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver standing by his word. He's not only kicking to the curb, the man on your screen here, but he's telling the owners, get behind me, guys. 3/4 of you, I want your vote here. I want this guy kicked out of our club. When we come back, though, I'm going to ask my attorney friends at the table, can he actually back up what he wants to do legally? Will the courts let him really do it? Stay with us.